Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine Jones and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild, and this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Abbott Elementary Season 2, Episode 15, Fire. And we are sipping on some apple juice and vodka. How y'all doing? So, this episode, we kind of got to see a little bit more into like the lives of the other characters and like the stuff that they're going through and stuff. Because we get snippets here and there, but we haven't. I guess we kind of have had shows that are just dedicated to the other characters and their backgrounds and their lives, but I don't know. I just felt like this one went a little bit deeper into like the turmoils and stuff that the other characters are going through. In particular, Barbara. So this episode starts off with their, let's get the minor stuff out the way first. So Jacob makes these cookies that are weird and they taste like carrots and stuff. That was interesting, I guess. He's trying to get people in school to eat the carrot cookies, and then no one wants to eat the carrot cookies, so he leaves it in the lounge, and Melissa, who's been talking the most shit about his cookies, eats a piece and says they actually taste good. So, that was a thing. And then Melissa is like, during this whole episode, because there was a fire in the teacher's lounge. And so Melissa is geeking out the whole episode because of the fire trucks that are there. Because the firemen had to come and things like that. And they had to give a little like talk about fire safety to the teachers. And then, things. So she's geeking out over the fire truck, and apparently her family all were firefighters, and she wanted to be a firefighter, and they wouldn't let her be a firefighter because, sexism and patriarchy and misogyny and shit. So, she spends most of the episode geeking out over the fire truck, and then Jacob gets the fireman to let her go up the ladder because he said he lost his frisbee on the roof. So she goes up the ladder, and she enjoys herself, and, it's a good time for the white folks. They're having a good time. What you want me to say? The white folks is having fun. Yes, this episode, the white folks is having fun. I mean, Jacob's probably not having that much fun because don't nobody want to eat his cookies, but that's the main, with the white folks on the show. So, let me shut the fuck up. So, let me see. And even Gregory and Janine kind of had like little side situations in this episode because the show is mainly about Barbara. And Barbara having like a little meltdown. But like Gregory, so because of the fire in the teacher's lounge, like Ava just dipped on the school. She was like, oh no, there's a fire. It's a real fire. Like, we gotta leave. I feel like Ava may have something here with like these disasters that she gets really frantic over. Like, I think she had like a little panic when the lights went out in the school, and now the fire situation. I think she just got anxiety or some shit. When you go through shit, your anxiety will just attach to anything and stuff. Anxiety itself, period, will just attach to anything. So, I think she got some kind of anxiety around like disasters or fires or like really horrible, tragic things happening or some shit. And then, so she leaves. She just dips on the school. She posting on her page about like her getaway bag and shit, and how she got her fire safety stuff. And I'm just like, okay, girl. She went to the spa for the day. That's what she did. And so Gregory is just super duper psyched. He's just like he has named himself the interim principal for the school, and I'm just like, he been waiting for this day. So he follows protocol and calls the board to send over a crisis counselor, and I'm just like, I mean, like children, will get overwhelmed even if they don't see the danger. Like, the children didn't see the fire. Like, you could have called that a fire. If you look at the burn in the teacher's line, it was literally on the table still. It didn't spread nowhere. Like, somebody else could have got the fire extinguisher and put it out, is what I'm saying. It wasn't some substantial enough fire for them to call the fire department. Like, if Ava had made a big ass fucking funk about it, They could have. It was literally this circle of burn on the table. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, somebody could have saw that, got the fire extinguisher. That's what the fire extinguisher, and then none of the children would have even had to know about this. But because Ava can oftentimes be incompetent at her job, she panicked and she ran out to school talking about fire in the teacher's lounge. So I'm assuming she saw it first, because Barbara had went to answer the phone or some shit. So Eva saw it first, and she could have just, but she didn't. So the kids, they called the crisis counselor. Gregory called the district to send over a crisis counselor because of the fact that they had to have, the fire situation, and the kids knew that it wasn't a drill, and they saw the adults getting anxious, and so they got anxious. That's what happened here. That's what I'm saying. Like, if the adults had just did their adult thing and fire extinguished that motherfucker out, we wouldn't have been in this situation where the children are all looking at y'all like, oh, the school was about to burn. No, it wasn't. We didn't even have to call the fire department. No, it wasn't. So what do we got fire extinguishers for then? Like, what? That's like saying, like, my microwave catch on fire and shit, and it's contained to the microwave area. I grabbed the fire, and then you know what I'm saying? Okay. What are they for then? They're for little fires, so the little fires don't get bigger, or even medium-sized fires. I'm just, Ava, I need you to do better, because we didn't have to have this episode. It's fine. Okay, so Ava runs out to school, and Gregory's just super psyched to be interim principal because he'd been wanting to be principal since forever, and Ava got the job because she blackmailed the district person, and so he'd been low-key salty about that since jump. So he's excited to be the principal. So he's calling the district person. They were already on their way, I guess, because the fire department came, and I guess the fire department alerted the district to the situation or whatever, however that works. And so she comes, and this is crisis counselor. And she just is going around the school, checking in on the kids, checking in on the teachers, make sure everybody's okay. And I just feel like, as fucked up as school districts are, they wouldn't have sent a crisis counselor for that. And not immediately. It's the truth. Don't come for me. They're not going to immediately send. Y'all got fucking asbestos in the wall, I'm sure, that they have not came and fixed once. You had to break all the toilets in the school for them to come out and fix the toilets, even though it was just one initial toilet that was broken. So what I'm saying here is, it's not realistic to go from, we can't get nobody to even come fix the toilets or get the asbestos out the wall and fix the school, to immediately there's a crisis counselor for a little circle of fire for the children. That's all I'm saying. It just doesn't sound plausible. But she came and she talked to the people in the school, and she was talking to Janine, and Janine just started going off on this tangent about her sister, then the guy she's dating. I'm not gonna call him her partner. They're not together. And the counselor just like, I'm just here for the fire. And so she suggested Janine go to therapy, and Janine's telling this to Gregory, and Gregory's just like, And she was just like, the audacity of her. And I was just like, with Gregory, girl, Gregory, you need to go to therapy too. We already established in the last episode that you have issues in your relationships with romantic relationships. So don't be looking at Janine just because your shit is contained to one area of your fucking life. Okay. And her shit is not contained, and it's all over in every area of her fucking life. Okay, because she didn't pay rent for 3 months. So it's at home, it's at school, it's in her friendships, it's in her romantic No, girl. But Gregory can't throw stones either, because he got some shit going on with him. He need to go to therapy and work on that dad shit that he got going on before he ends up. Somebody commented and said that he was going to end up like Norbit and going to have some Rasputia bitch that's going to be emotionally abusing him and shit. And I was like, yes, he will. Because you can't keep dating people that are above you and struggling to make them love you and shit. Like, sir, that is just open playing field for a predator to come in and manipulate your emotions. But that was the last. Let me shut up. But I'm just saying, he don't need to be looking at her like, you need to go therapy too. Gregory, you need to go. Yes. So, we had a hint of potential. Someone's told her, finally, and it was a therapist, that told her, because crisis counselors, usually they're licensed, or if they're not licensed, they at least have their master's in something or other. They're not just going to schools and giving crisis therapy by themselves without having some kind of master's, with a BBS number or being licensed. And so that BBS number is what you get before you get licensed. That's what you have before you get your hours and shit. Then you can take the test to be licensed. So, a therapist is telling her she needs to go to therapy. So somebody said it. So let's see what happens in the next episode this week. So, and if she's getting anxious because Barbara's been feeling a type of way. So let's get to Barbara. She's been feeling a type of way all day because this fire incident that happened at the school. And she's getting defensive when anybody asks her about it. And then because the crisis counselor is asking her questions, she feels like she's being interrogated and she's feeling a type of way. She's an older woman. She's not old. She's just an older woman, and women raised during a certain period of time, black people raised during a certain period of time, don't believe in therapy and don't believe in talking to people and don't believe in opening up to folks and keeping secrets. A lot of people of color and their families believe in not spreading the business of the family. Like it's taught as rhetoric in a lot of folks of color's families, or just in really abusive families. That's also spread because it's a manipulation tactic, and sometimes we make trauma into culture. That's why we still eat chitlins, even though that was slavery time, because they wouldn't give us the good parts of the pig, but we inserted that into our culture. That's why we spank our children, even though that comes from slave times, and you're actually traumatizing your child every time you spank them. Their brain is reacting to each hit as if they are being traumatized, and then they can develop PTSD from that. And so, we turn trauma into culture so that we can get through it, but then it makes our cultures toxic. So shit like not keeping shit in the family when you know that uncle is molesting everybody in the family, that's not healthy. That is a toxic part of culture. Everything in this world has a percentage of good and bad. Let's take Hitler for it. I always like to use this example. Let's take Hitler for example. Pretty much 99.999% bad. 1%, he used to paint in college. He was a painter. That means that there was a slight chance that he could have chose different. Instead, he chose to kill a bunch of people because whatever reason something was wrong with him. Okay? So everything has a percentage of good and bad. Depending on how much of a percent that you have in either area, I feel like that dictates what type of person you are. So, same with cultures. Let's take cultures where they, have arranged marriages. That shit can be traumatizing if the person participating in the arranged marriage doesn't want to do that. But it can be fruitful and fulfilling if the people participating in the arranged marriage do want to do that. It becomes toxic when you take away choice and you make people feel bad and you shame them because they want to make a different choice. And then they end up with mental health issues and depression and anxiety because either they're forced to make a choice to be with somebody they do not want to be with, and now they have to live in this space, always pretending to be something that they're not and never actualizing who they really are as a person. Or they decide to go against it and have to deal with their family, potentially treating them. Ooh, I need to swallow. I talk a lot. This is ew. And they got to deal with their families, potentially treating them like shit. and not knowing the level or degree that being treated like shit will go to. Will their family go no contact with them and never talk to them again? Or will their family just be really shady every time they come around? Or will their family just keep harping on it day in and day out until the day they actually do find somebody to marry for themselves? Or if they never decide to marry, maybe their family will just give up and leave them the fuck alone about that particular topic. So yeah, everything has a percentage of positive and negative in it, as far as I believe. But but that's okay. Everybody's different. So it would make sense that towards the end, when Barbara was talking to Melissa, that she would say something along the lines of, I don't think we should be telling our personal business and things like that at school, at work. Then we would be like Janine. She doesn't feel comfortable opening up, maybe because of that silencing that is in the Black community a lot of times, and that keeping things and keeping your business to yourself. And a lot of that comes from racism and being mistreated and, the rhetoric in your family and having to hide things because, if we want to go all back to slavery, you can tell you have to hide the fact. You had to even hide the fact that you could read. Okay? Excuse me. You even had to hide the fact that you could read from these people. So, if we talk about epigenetics and how trauma's passed down genetically, that would make sense that would still be something that's passed down in the Black community, specifically to not tell our business to other people or tell our business outside of the family. And so, Barbara is sitting here on this whole day grieving, the fact that she was scared. She was sad and she was scared because she thought her husband was going to have some severe prostate cancer. And so she came to school and she lit a candle. I love how Christianity and other religions cross over, because that's spell work. And I just love it. I generally believe that all the religions are the same because they're all similar, and that we're all just worshiping one giant deity. And it's just I feel it in my spirit that that's what we're all doing. And so she came to school to light her candle with Jesus on it, to just kind of pray over it and pray for her husband's health and that he stays healthy and all this other stuff. And then she went to go answer the phone and her shawl got into the thing, and the thing caught on fire. So she's low-key feeling guilty. She's low-key projecting her fear and her sadness onto everybody else. And so when the therapist comes in to talk to her, she's just like, I'm fine. And I love that saying. I always say, thou dost protest too much. Barbara was protesting way too. If you're fine, why do you have to say it over and over again? Why do you have to keep bringing this up? Why did you have to come hunt down the therapist while she was talking to Gregory about how she thinks that you're hurting? And just to reiterate how fine you are. A part of me was were you afraid you were going to get in trouble? And then she had her big breakdown at the fire safety meeting. And they were trying to talk to her, and they were saying they were trying to talk to everybody, and they were saying how the fire got caused. And this nigga Gregory gonna be like, well, it was an accident, and it has nothing to do with somebody getting old and forgetful. And she was like, Gregory. And before she even brought up her husband's prostate, I really thought that's where the plot was about to go. I know you're not about to give Barbara dementia. Nigga, no, we're not doing, I don't care. We're not gonna have her slowly deteriorate off the show. What? There's no cure for that. She would just have to, or you would just act like you forgot they forgot about it and never bring it up again. I was like, please don't do that. Please don't have her sit up here and have us watch her slowly deteriorate and then have to quit the job. Would they go replace her with some? I'm tired. So she just storms out of the meeting, and then Melissa and I'm just I've been asking where Melissa was at this whole time. She been out there by the fire trucks. I'm looking at Gregory, Gregory, why are you talking to Janine about Barbara? You know Janine got issues. Why are you worrying her about this? You know Barbara's best friend is Melissa. Are you too anxious to go talk to me? Are you scared of Melissa? Like, just tell her that Barbara needs her. Like, why are you talking to Janine? Because you feel most comfortable with Janine. You know, he just goes towards what he's most comfortable with, and like doesn't think outside of that sometimes. This isn't all the time, but sometimes he does, and I just be looking at him like, why are you telling Janine about Barbara? Why aren't you talking to Barbara's friend and asking Barbara's friend, who's been her friend for, I guess, 20 some years at that school, to go talk to Barbara? So I was finally happy when Melissa followed Barbara out and actually talked to her. And Melissa knows how to talk to Barbara. So when she asked Barbara what's wrong and Barbara said, "Oh, I'm fine," Melissa was just like, okay. She gave her space. She didn't keep bombarding her, asking her questions. And that's all Barbara needed. She just needed that one moment to know that somebody was there and wasn't going to force her to talk about anything. And then she just spilled the tea. And she just let Melissa know what was going on with her and her husband. Like, sometimes you got to read the room and read people. Some people, they can't be bombarded and asked over and over and over again. Some people got to work up the courage to be able to say how they feel. And you bombarding them is actually limiting them from working up that courage. And now they're all fucked up in the head and mad at you, on top of mad at the situation, and they don't even want to talk to you now. Like, you know what? No, get away from me. Like, you know, you gotta read the room and shit. And so Melissa knows, she know her friend. And so, you know, Melissa just listened to her and she let her know she there for her. And, you know, she let Barbara know that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared and that she's not alone and all this other stuff. So, you know, Barbara goes to her class and this little kid comes up to the desk. He's scared of the fire. And Barbara's, of course, talking about herself as she's trying to comfort him. She's letting him know that even she gets scared and tries to run away sometimes. So Barbara's avoidant. So when we think of like different attachment styles, avoidant attachment is more so like, I can't face difficult conversations, emotions, triggers. I can't deal with that. So I avoid it. I try to get the fuck away from it as soon as possible. And so Barbara's avoidant with her emotions and with talking to people about her emotions and being open about her emotions. And so she's acknowledging that to this little kid and to herself. You know, sometimes teachers run away too. Sometimes teachers have emotions and they get big and, you know, they have to learn how to deal with their emotions in calm, nice ways or loud ways. Sometimes you gotta hit a pillow, you know, but it's still, as long as it's positive and it's not hurting nobody else or yourself. And she's able to just like understand that in herself. And she tells Gregory and Janine that she will no longer be lighting candles at school because they said that she couldn't do that anymore. I mean, they bring birthday cakes and there's asbestos, and I promise you there's asbestos in in those fucking walls, okay? They ain't fixed this school in decades. There's asbestos in those walls. And so, I mean, I was on Barbara's side. I was just like, well, I mean, wouldn't this just make her more attentive to making sure that shit didn't catch on fire? Like, I don't see the problem. If she want to light her candle, let her light. If she want to say her spells, let her say her spells. Prayers and spells are the same fucking thing. I don't care what nobody says. Being filled with the Holy Spirit is summoning a spirit. It's the same thing, and people are just like, you don't see the connections. You don't see it. Invoking a spirit. You know what I mean? You're invoking Jesus. It's just... Shut up, bitch. Oh, don't come for me. I believe in God. You know, I believe in Jesus. I just believe that they more than what people, our small minds, think they are. That's all. But yeah, like, I like how they showed like how elder black women, I keep saying elder, like she's not old, Like, I think she's like 60 something. That's not old. Like, she don't look old. Like, she look like she could be smooth in her 40s and shit. So, the older generation of black folks and how they deal with the way the world is changing, how they deal with sickness, how they deal with people around them that like are growing older too, and how some of them are passing away or getting ill and things like that. It's like, to see that and to see like two friends come together, like Barbara and Melissa have been friends for a long time, and Melissa came to her aid like when she found out, like, because Gregory could have just pulled her away from the pretty red truck for a little bit, so I thought it was interesting to see, like, as I always say in these, little spills, Janine still needs therapy. Gregory, I've added him to the list. I was tentative. He was tentative. I was just like, well, he got them little autistic breakdowns sometimes, but when he talked to somebody and redo his structure, shit gets done. I don't see the problem. And then we see that he just be having these broken ass romantic relationships, chasing after women that are above him. Like, and he knows that though. Like, he knows they're above him, and yet he's still. I don't understand. I'm confused. Like, I was talking to some clients the other day, and we were talking about how, like, I just feel like men do things that are harmful to themselves because they're emotional. Like, I saw this thing on like Will Smith's Instagram like a few years ago, and he was talking about how he needs to be close to death to feel alive. I think I said this in my other video about the Best Man final chapters, and I'm just like, why do you need to be close to death? I feel alive when I get a massage and they're rubbing my muscles. Like, shit like that. Like, men be doing shit like that, like bungee jumping, and we just think they're impulsive and shit. No, these niggas is out here not actualizing themselves, not realizing who they are as people, not embracing and taking responsibility for their emotions, and some of them their traumas, and they have these emotional influxes when they feel overwhelmed or upset, and they do shit like bungee jump and mountain bike and shit like that, and just be moving from hobby to hobby to hobby. Like, excuse me, I feel like having 20 hobbies is a red flag. Why you got 20 things that you like to do and you can never, do you never feel like you can feel settled? Like, you never, because like when I see that shit on the dating apps and they got like, oh, I mountain bike and I bungee jump and I go hiking for 20 days in the woods. I be like, oh, this one's one of them niggas that if I just want to sit up on the couch for like a smooth weekend and not do shit, they're gonna be like looking at me like I'm lazy. I can't have that energy in my life. Like, I could do that stuff every like once in a while just to try it. I'm not mountain biking because I'm clumsy. I'm not gonna like learn to climb rocks with a bike. I'm not. Like, I'll take a cute little beach bike up the strand at the beach, but otherwise I'm not doing the mountain biking. I'm not doing the biking in the street with the leotard and the I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not driving a bike in the street. Like, I just look at those people and I'd be like, I know the law says you have to be in the street, but it's like, they don't even be trying to get to the side. They be right in the fucking lane, right in the turning lane, the left lane, just I hate them. I don't care. You can hate me for hating them. They get on my motherfucking, because I feel like I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to do it on accident, and then I'm going to be the bad person. Not the motherfucker that was making a left turn in the left lane on a fucking bike in front of a line of cars. No, me, the one that clipped them and they fell and busted their ass on the ground. Like, officer, I didn't see them. Like this is the street. This is not for bikes. Like, I don't do shit like that. So, like, niggas that be doing, like, 20 different things and just be really into it and shit, I just be looking at them like, you can never feel at peace, huh? Like, you just have to keep running. And you just never do a homebody thing. Because I'm a mixture of everything. Like, sometimes I'm a homebody. Sometimes I get into these phases where I like want to work out and do like hiking shit and see nature and shit like that. Sometimes I want to travel and do stuff. Like, sometimes I just want to go out in my city and just eat and drink and just have a good time. It's just I'm in phases, and if I'm in a homebody phase and you make me feel bad because you always flipping and changing shit and doing random shit every other fucking weekend, like nigga, we not doing this over here. Like this is not the place for that. So I just feel like niggas is out here. Like there's some, I'm not gonna say all, some that are probably doing this and enjoying it and they find peace. Like I've learned from my male clients that like literally fishing is like a calming meditative activity for men. Like the way that they describe it sounds like what meditation is for women. And I'm just like, oh, like golfing, same thing. Like the way they describe how it makes them feel like clear headed and calm, and like all the bad things in their mind is going away and they can just relax and be at peace. And I'm just like, that's like meditation and mindful. Wait a minute. They're like doing shit that is calming, but they don't know what it's called. So like they call it fishing and golfing and like shit like that. And so like there are dudes out there that are finding calm in these activities. But when you get to a certain number of activities, how calming are these things? Because I try my best not to live my life in the extremes, because the extremes mean that there's something wrong. You can't be revved up in any area of your life for a long period of time, because that is overwhelming to your mind, body, and soul. And so you have to have a balance where there's a balance of rest, a balance of play, balance of work, a balance of vacation, just balances and shit. And so I just feel like when you get to a certain number of hobbies, or you move around a lot, or you can't sit still. And I told you about how I felt when I was working with them little kids with ADHD, and how like they just could not sit still and it would make me anxious and shit. That shit makes me anxious. This nigga can't sit still. He just can't relax. Like my favorite thing is a nap. So we can't sit up and binge watch like Naruto, all 400 episodes, like in 2 or 3 days for a whole weekend. We can't do that. I mean, it's probably gonna take longer than a whole weekend. Maybe not. I don't know. I need to see. We can't do that with this nigga though. He want to be skydiving and paragliding, and I'm not. The water's wet and cold. You're not cold when you paraglide and sail or whatever the fuck it's called in the water every weekend. Like you don't get sick. And so I just feel like these niggas is out here self-harming through these overly active activities that could like damn near kill you, like on accident, and like getting like something out of the adrenaline rush. They're like addicted to the adrenaline rush. So if they don't feel that adrenaline rush, then like they're gonna feel sad or nothing. And so they don't want to feel sad or nothing, so they just chase this adrenaline rush, because we can get addicted to literally anything that pumps our dopamine through our body. And then you add adrenaline on top of that. It's like a high. It's like a different type of high. So it's just like, okay, I'm not addicted to adrenaline. That shit makes me anxious when it happens too much. When I get too much adrenaline, I just get anxious and and irritable. And I want to hit something. Like I don't like it. So that's not for me. And I feel like that's what Gregory out here doing, just self-harming in his romantic relationships. I got the audacity to look at Janine like she just the only one out here with all these issues, and she need a therapist immediately, and she's just like that. Nigga, fuck you. You over here got this bitch a Lego bouquet. When you see this bitch play with Legos when she not with her kids? How you gonna know more about the bitch you got a crush on than the bitch that you with, that you fucking? You fucking this bitch. You putting your dick in this bitch, and you don't know what this bitch like. You ain't shit, nigga. That's toxic, nigga. Like, if I was that bitch, I would dump you immediately. Like, you don't like shit that you don't know me, sir. I am a stranger to you. Putting your dick in a stranger, and you just don't give a fuck. Immediately dumped. Like, I don't have time for that shit. I don't time to be a part of your trauma, because that's what it feels like. Like when niggas be liking me and I don't like them, and then they be trying and chasing, like I just feel like, ew. Like, you just want me to be a part of your trauma, and I don't want to be that. Like, you're trying to make me be a part of it. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to do. That's weird. And that's what you're doing when you going after people that don't want you. You making them a part of your trauma. Now, they're another added piece of trauma in your life. And some people will play into that because they know that you are a traumatized person and will fuck with your vulnerabilities. But decent people just gonna drop your ass like it ain't shit. And I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it, because I would do the same fucking shit. I'm not about to be sitting up here traumatizing somebody, knowingly traumatizing somebody. Like, that's like me, like, no, like you want me to be an abuser. You trying to make me be an abuser by allowing you in my space. And your sad ass moping and shit over here. like not doing what you supposed to be doing in this relationship. You want me to be abusive. And I refuse. You're not going to put me in that position, because I'm a mean bitch. And when I get resentful, either you're going to let me go and leave me the fuck alone, or I'm going to hurt your feelings. Because you didn't let me go. You didn't let me leave. Like, I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to be like them niggas that be like, I could just leave and I'm going to just, but then they stay. They're just saying they're leaving, but they're staying, and they're taking up your time and space. No, I'm trying to leave and never talk to you again, and you're blocking me. I'm going to hurt your feelings. Because I'm not going to be an abuser. I'm not going to be put in a position to be an abuser. And so that's what basically you're doing when you're allowing them type of people that are sad and lonely and miserable and need to go to therapy and work on themselves. Because I used to be that bitch. Okay? So I used to be that bitch. And so I know what the fuck I'm talking about. You're just becoming a part of their trauma. You're not doing anything but traumatizing them more. And fuck them niggas that be doing that shit on purpose. Like, you see this wounded animal and you gonna take a knife and twist it. Like, this is fun. Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer motherfuckers and shit. Only it's emotional. Like, I could, if I say this, I can make her cry. And you just making bitches cry on purpose. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not gonna do that to me. I refuse to have any nigga hanging off of me, just sad sacking it up, and I'm just looking at them like, ew. I mean, I guess they're here, so they're making me food, so whatever. It's like a little slave. Like, it's like a Dobby from Harry Potter. I know, fuck that bitch, and she's a turf and shit, but basically that's what it is. You basically making bitches into a Dobby. And you know Dobby didn't want to be there. Not deep down. Don't nobody want to be a slave. But Dobby was brainwashed into believing that he belonged there. And that's why everyone was looking at him like he was dirty trash. Like, how do you just not like yourself that, like, at all? So I'm going to abuse you. And it's like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's why they freed that nigga. Like, and so I just look at Gregory and I just hope that he stops putting himself in these relationships with these women that are above him or that make him feel bad about himself, because an abuser is going to smell that blood in the water, and he is going to be Norbit, just like that person that commented said. He's going to be Norbit, and it's going to be sad, and he's going to be hunch-shouldered and sad and miserable, and it's going to be sad. And he don't deserve that. He's a good person. Because most of these people, because I used to be that bitch, most of these people are good people that just want to be loved and taken care of and all this other stuff. But you got to learn, even though that saying is cliche, you got to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you attract the people that are supposed to love you the way you love yourself. If you're not used to giving yourself nice shit, why would you be used to someone else giving you nice shit? Why wouldn't you just accept the bare minimum and shit? Like, I mean, fucked up. So that saying that they tell us is true. Just like how when you talk to a child, you know all the things the child has been through, right? So you tell the child, hey, don't talk to strangers or take candy from strangers because strangers will murder you. And the child is like, whatever, mom. And then they get kidnapped and shit. And it's like, that's the same thing with, you need to love yourself. For like people that have been through the shit and then experienced it are telling you what's gonna happen, but you like that little kid and you just like, that's bitch. It's hard. I know it's hard to get to that place of self-love and care for yourself. Like, look at Barbara. Like, she learning day by day. Just, you need to be more open. She need to be less judgmental. She need to go to therapy too, like a real there's Christian therapists, okay? She needs to go to therapy too. And like, hopefully the whole cast just goes and talks to therapists. They have a therapist day. Or they just plant that crisis therapist at the school and pay her the proper salary so that she can just be the teacher's therapist and they can make appointments each week and shit. That would be some shit. If each school had like a couple, 3 or 4 therapists that teachers could make appointments with each week, and that's the school therapist for the teachers and faculty and shit. Maybe they need like 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10. Because if they make appointments, that's like 8 hours in a day and shit. So like if you see, that's like 80 teachers and shit. Like, so if they work that, I don't know. But I think it would be cool to have school faculty appointed therapists at each school so these teachers can be talking to somebody about their shit before they go and work with these kids. I don't see why they have police officers have therapists. they sometimes it's mandated when they be fucking up too much. Like, so I'm just saying, like, what's wrong with having that? I feel like she need to be stationed at that school for them teachers, and some other folks need to come along with her because she can't do all that by herself. And they could talk to her. The kids even got therapists that come into the school that the district will contract with outside community services agencies and stuff. So kids that are like on Medi-Cal and Medicare and stuff like that, so the most impoverished children can have a therapist. And so why can't the teachers be allowed? Like, I feel like that should be a thing, like a whole office set up, like, a whole space set up for like school faculty therapists. Like, there should be a petition. I'll sign it. The fuck, like, this should be a thing. Like, why police officers get therapists that they barely ever use, and teachers can't get them? Like, I just feel like this should be a thing. So that's what I'm gonna leave y'all with. Like, that should be a thing. So I hope we can make this a thing. And so, I don't know, hashtag therapists for teachers in school or some shit like that. And hope you enjoyed this review. And what is it? Like, share, subscribe. And I wish all the money's on you and all the money's on me so that we can all buy our way away from white supremacy. Yes, God. Later days.